Whether revving up the crowd at a game or participating in competition, cheerleading can be both fun and physically demanding. But cheerleading stunts can and do result in injuries. And it's cheerleading, not basketball, not softball, not football, and not even hockey, which is by far the most dangerous sport for girls. Cheerleading accounts for 65% of all catastrophic injuries in girls' high school athletics, reports the National Center for Catastrophic Sport Injury Research at the University of North Carolina. In fact, over 25,000 cheerleaders ended up in the emergency room in 2007 alone. In 2004, Rachel was one of more than 350,000 cheerleaders who attended a cheerleading camp conducted by United Spirit Association in Salt Lake, Utah. In its promotional brochures, it heavily promoted itself as safety conscious. It claimed that its staff was trained in and promoted safety techniques developed and supported by the American Association of Cheerleading Coaches and Administrators. But the USA staff ignored safety guidelines at the camp when performing a high-risk basket stunt, and as a result, Rachel, who was a flyer in the stunt, was improperly thrown and landed on her back. And now, tragically, she is permanently paralyzed from the waist down for the rest of her life. Today, the Insider Exclusive presents Cheerleading, a girl's most dangerous sport, and how Mitch Jensen at the law firm of Siegfried and Jensen got justice from Rachel and her family in getting United Spirit Association to take financial responsibility for her injuries after they had repeatedly refused to do so. This has earned Mitch Jensen the highest respect from citizens and lawyers alike as one of the best people's trial lawyers in Utah and in the nation. He has seen many innocent and hardworking people suffer needless injury, and because of that, he's driven to help people who have been harmed by the negligent actions of others. His goal, not only to get justice from Rachel and her family, but to make sure new safety procedures and training are implemented to protect the lives and welfare of over 3 million young cheerleaders across America. Hi, I'm Steve Murphy, and this is the Insider Exclusive, live from Salt Lake City, Utah, at the law firm of Siegfried and Jensen and Steele & Biggs. It is my great pleasure to introduce Mitch Jensen. Welcome to the show, Mitch.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about the kind of trial work that you do. You represent the people, ordinary people, don't you?
Yeah, we represent people who need a voice. They need access to the legal system to address serious injuries.
And a lot of cases that your firm takes are cases which you strongly believe in, like the case we're going to talk about today, which deals with the sport of cheerleading.
Right.
You represented a young lady, 16-year-old Rachel. Tell us a little bit about this case, please.
Well, the best way to set the stage for this case is to probably set the stage for the sport of cheerleading and how it has evolved into the most dangerous sport for young women, particularly in high school. And it used to be that cheerleading was pom-poms and people standing on the ground doing cheers and yells. And there came a time when a college graduate cheerleader decided to make cheerleading into a business. He was good friends with the upstarting company ESPN, and they thought, well, if we could make cheerleading exciting and use the ESPN network to film it across the country, we could make a business out of this.
Mm-hmm. And the name of that organization eventually became?
That's USA.
United Spirit Association.
Right. Now they may have changed names from time to time, but I think it was USA at the time that this concerned this case.
Right, and they run cheerleading camps, don't they?
Yeah. What they did to make cheerleading more exciting and motivate people to tune in and view, cheerleading is they added stunts, gymnastic stunts and acrobatic stunts to cheerleading. And so they took cheerleading off the ground, literally, and put it up in the air.
And some of those stunts were the high-flying stunts that Rachel was involved in, right?
Yeah. And the appeal is to every high school cheerleading team in every city, whether it's a rural or a big city, a small school or a big school. And they take their camps around to the metropolitan areas, the big cities, and they invite the small schools in to participate in training and in safety instruction.
Right, and that was a big part of their sales promotion. I think some of their sales literature, their brochures, and we'll be showing some of them, stressed the fact that they had really good safety training programs in effect, didn't they?
Right, they realized that what they were doing was dangerous, and so they hired people experienced at teaching the sport safely, and psychologists who could instruct on how to prepare yourself emotionally for the performance as well as physically.
Right. One of the key elements in your case was the fact that their safety procedures stressed that if you failed at a stunt, I think twice, 2 times in a row, then the best thing was to back off and take a break. And in this particular case, Rachel was encouraged by the evaluator there to do a 3rd stunt, and that's when the tragedy struck, right?
Right. This is a cheerleading safety camp. Rachel's a member of a cheer group from a rural Utah community, and their cheer group came not to compete, but to learn. But towards the end of the camp, it turned into a competition where their team felt compelled to perform stunts that they were just introduced to earlier in the week and they weren't proficient at. They weren't prepared to perform.
What were some of the safety violations, of their own safety violations they violated?
Well, the most important safety violation they violated was psychological readiness. In their safety manual, they have a section written by a renowned sports psychologist on psychological preparedness to perform these stunts. And if you're an individual athlete performing at the highest level, then you can control your own psychological readiness and you're aware of it. However, if you're in a team stunt like this where your body's being propelled not by your power, but by the power of 3 people throwing you in the air, your psychological readiness, although you may control it, is only one part of the equation. The rest of the equation is the readiness of the others. And in this case, the team was clearly not ready psychologically to perform a basket toss, which is 3 people throwing a small cheerleader 15 to 20 feet in the air.
In your discovery process, you depose people, and one of the persons that you deposed was Greg Webb, who is the VP of Varsity Spirit Corporation. And we're going to go to his video deposition real quick to show how he says that their organization held themselves out to be the standard of safety in cheerleading. So let's do that right now.
I mean, is it fair to say that one of the primary things that UCA was marketing and selling as part of their service was that UCA was the standard setter for cheerleading safety?
Yes, we're very proud of that.
We also have a deposition of Rachel's mom and dad, as well as Rachel, talking about the fact that they were unaware of the potential tragic results of some of these stunts, even though the organization said that they had a lot of safety measures in place. So let's go to that right now.
You really didn't believe or understand that cheerleading could have catastrophic and potentially fatal results?
No.
Had you known that, would you have allowed her to be a cheerleader?
No, I would not have let her be a cheerleader.
I told you before, if I'd have known that, I wouldn't have let her have done that.
I thought that maybe you could get, like I said, a broken arm, broken leg, I didn't think you could get a brain injury or spinal cord injury or die. I never thought that was possible.
In 1975, I left NCA to start the Universal Cheerleaders Association. What we really did with cheerleading and the whole concept of starting UCA was to add an athletic component to cheerleading. In those days, there were very few partner stunts or pyramid. We added that entire dimension, including a kind of entertainment aspect as well. We pioneered the look of what modern cheerleading is today.
Yeah, that's true. Partner stunts and pyramids and mini tramp prior to 1975 were beginning to get visibility. And you know, as I looked at where cheerleading was going, it felt like that there was a need and an opportunity to come in and develop techniques, including safety techniques, as you know, as that trend developed. So there's no question that that was part of it's part of our style.
Okay, so in that sense, you pioneered the look of what modern cheerleading is today.
Pioneered the look. Okay, depending on what, yes.
Okay. You have to remember, in those days, there were only two aspects of the spirit industry.
Jeff Webb was a key person in your whole case, because on one hand, he's saying cheerleading's safe, and we go to all of these great lengths to make sure the girls, you know, don't get injured. But at the same time, they're out there not on the ground floor really implementing those safety procedures, were they?
No. And that's what this story really is about. It's educating parents and participants who want to participate in cheerleading. They should know how dangerous it is and what they can do to reduce the risks of injury.
Yeah, speaking of which, he also was the one that introduced this stunt, this basket flying stunt, right?
Right.
To get more ratings on ESPN or wherever it was being shown on TV.
Exactly.
Fortunately, we have Keith Henson here today, who I understand is a renowned sports psychologist, not only at the University of Utah, but also he has been the sports psychologist for the Utah Jazz for the last 24 years, and I believe the U.S. ski team. So let's bring him on right now. It's my great pleasure to introduce Keith Henson to the show. Welcome to the show, Keith.
Thank you.
I just want to make sure our audience knows that you have a tremendous amount of experience in dealing with psychological readiness in sports industry. You're at the University of Utah, correct?
Correct.
You have been the psychological sports readiness expert for the Utah Jazz.
Correct.
For the last 24 years. In fact, every person that they're considering about bringing on their team has to be interviewed by you, right?
They have been, yes.
Yeah, and also on the United States Olympic ski team, is it?
I've worked, I think, with the ski team the last 2 Olympics, but I've worked with about 8 different Olympic teams.
You wrote a chapter in the American Association of Cheerleading and Coaches and Administrators book on psychological readiness in sports.
That's correct.
What is the importance of psychological readiness?
Well, performance isn't just physical. It's got to be mental as well. And the psychological readiness helps people make sure that they're ready to perform and at the best of their ability.
Let's talk about the standard of care in terms of safety when you're dealing with any athlete.
What do you want to know about the standard of care? Right now, I mean, it's there, but people sometimes don't use the standard of care that's available to them.
Let's talk about in the cheerleading industry. You put together a chart that deals with basket tosses, whether you're ready for that, and especially in this particular case, where there was a third attempt which violated all safety regulations and precautions that they had, and this is when this injury happened. Why is this not doing the third attempt important?
First of all, the cheerleader herself had said that she expressed fear before she went through the third attempt, but the peer pressure And the coaches allowed that to happen, so that in itself is not good.
Which brings up another point. A lot of the coaches don't have the proper training, do they?
Well, I think they have some training, but I don't believe that they really use it in crucial times, in the sense that the safety manual is available to them, but I'm not sure that they all understand it or even read it sometimes.
We have, in the discovery process, you did a deposition of two of their coaches. One of them was the athletic director, Wade, I believe his last name is Wolstenhume, and another was the coach on the scene, Olivia Gunnarsson. We're going to go to that right now because it clearly explains they didn't know anything about safety procedures, so let's do that right now.
But if we were speaking about you personally, would it be fair to say, or would this be a correct statement, I, Wade Wolstenhume, don't have a clue about cheerleading safety?
That would be an accurate statement.
Tell me about your experience that allowed you to be somebody who would be competent to coach cheerleading at South Summit. And since we're trying to accommodate people's time needs, I'm seeking just a resume as you choose to give it.
Okay. I did cheerleading when I was in high school at South Summit. I did 4 years of cheerleading there. That's my cheerleading experience.
Other than your 4 years as a cheerleader, did you have any certifications of any kind with any of the organizations that regulate cheerleading?
No.
Now, let's talk about cheerleading and the statistics. Cheerleading accounts for, I think, 65% of all of the catastrophic injuries that happen to young ladies today in sports, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
That's pretty substantial, and a lot of parents don't know that, do they?
No, they don't.
And those injuries come about usually from what type of activities, what stunts?
The throwing activities, where you're relying on other people to either throw you or catch you or something like that. And many times the more difficult tricks that they're performing in cheerleading now.
There is a National Cheer Safety Foundation, isn't there?
Yes, there is.
What is this organization, and how does it help parents as well as kids who are involved with cheerleading?
Well, it's supposed to help them in the sense that they're informed about all the different risks and hazards that could possibly happen. But here again, it's up to the people to understand what they're putting their children into.
What can parents and athletes do to prevent injuries in the cheerleading sport?
Become knowledgeable about what's expected and what the kids actually themselves are capable of doing, not trying to do things beyond their capabilities at the time.
Just so our audience is familiar with Rachel and her situation, we have a videotape that we did a while back showing her in her current situation and her thoughts. We're going to go to that right now.
What do you hope to achieve by going to this therapy? Are you hoping to be able to walk a little bit, or?
Yes.
Okay, and were you able to do that?
A little bit, yes.
Okay, how much can you walk in any particular time frame? Like if you were to get up and move, how far?
Well, I have to have braces and a walker and assistance, so I can't just...
Get up and walk, okay.
I don't like going out in public.
You're uncomfortable having people see you in a wheelchair?
Yeah.
Okay. What were you doing in Arizona?
I was,
Do you want to take a break?
No, I'm okay.
You sure? You can take a break. No one else in this room knows what it's like to be you. So if you need to take a few minutes just to compose yourself, that's fine.
Mitch, having an expert like Keith on your team is really beneficial, especially in this dangerous sport of cheerleading. I would hope, and I think this is the reason we're doing this show, that a lot of parents will come away from this program realizing that cheerleading is no longer the kind of sport that we remember when we were kids, which was, I think, about the time of Abraham Lincoln, right? But seriously, there was none of these high-flying stunts where people would get injured, and it's tragic that this happened at all, and it's been a real, your firm has done a really, really good job in making sure that Rachel's family and her are taken care of, financially at least. I hope you have other cases like this that can get the message out there too.
Yeah, the family, in addition to their desire to take care of their daughter and hold the responsible people accountable for her injury, are motivated to get this message out.
Yeah.
There are a lot of cheerleading injuries out there, but each person doesn't have a voice. Even after they've been injured, it's hard for them to have their voice heard. So we appreciate Insider Exclusive doing this piece to share this information with parents out there who have kids involved in cheerleading.
Well, I want to thank you very much for spending time with us, and great job.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us. You can get more information about our guest and the issues at insiderexclusive.com.